I want my vows. Why don't I get my vows? When do I get my vows? On a Buddhist holiday or any holidays, a specific holy act or a specific beneficial act or a specific deed was done. And when that deed was done on that day, we commemorate that day. We commemorate that day not to remember only what was to be done or what was done. We commemorate that day in order to do that deed ourselves. On that day to be generous. On that day to be forgiving. On that day to be more kind and more compassionate. And hopefully from that day we start to be kinder and more compassionate. Then it starts to increase to the next day, to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. So, on Buddhist holidays, what is very, very important, one of the very big rituals besides Dharma talks that is done on Buddhist holidays is the taking of vows, is the taking of precepts, is the taking of commitments. Why is that? When we take a precept or a vow, it doesn't solve our problem. When we take on a religious promise, it doesn't solve our problem. In fact, when our Dharma knowledge is not stable and strong, no matter how many rituals we do, no matter how many promises we make, when we're in a good mood, when we're in a bad mood, it will go opposite. And it can create even more problems. So for me, I'm not a big fan of giving vows. I'm not a big fan of giving rituals and initiations. I am not a big fan of giving tantric rites. Let me tell you why. Because when we're in a good mood, we promise. When we are in a good mood, we take a lot of vows. We take a lot of promises. But when our Dharma knowledge is not strong, we break our vows. We break our commitments. We think negative things about our Guru. We will shout to our Dharma brothers and sisters that I don't like my Guru. I'm giving up. I'm running away. They're wrong. I don't understand what my Guru has done. I don't understand what he's teaching. Why does he do things like that? Why is he thinking like that? I'm tired of this. I don't like this. And you start to criticize your Guru. You start to criticize your Dharma brothers and sisters. You start to shout and yell and say negative things to your Dharma brothers and sisters. And some of us are even daring to think like that about our Guru or say to our Guru. Some even run away when their Dharma knowledge is not strong. Dharma knowledge strength. The strength of Dharma knowledge doesn't come from the time that you are in the Dharma. The strength of Dharma knowledge is how much you apply it to yourself daily. So hence for me, to give refuge is not a big deal if you don't have Dharma knowledge and you don't apply it. Why, if you have 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 people say, oh, I take refuge, they get a good name, and they get baptized. Basically, refuge is baptism. What is baptism? Nothing happens. Why is that? Because after refuge, you have to be different than you were before refuge. If you were not different before refuge, and you are exactly the same after refuge, then you break your vows. When you break your vows, Nimet Chenpo Shadaris means the repercussions are very heavy. The repercussions may come immediately, it may come at a later time, it may come in a distant future, but it will come. So therefore, I'm not a big fan of giving vows or passing vows, although I have it and I'm holding vows, is because I don't feel many people are ready. You see, to think, oh, I'm going to take a vow, and if you don't get a vow, some people, when they don't get a vow, when their teachers don't give them their vows when they want, they get angry. They think negative things. Can you imagine? You want to get teaching, you want to get a vow from your Guru, and you want to seal your fate. You want to seal your karma with the Guru, but before you seal it, you think negative things that your Guru doesn't give it to you at the timing that you want, or when you want it, or as you like. And you complain, and you say negative things. And if you don't say or complain, you think negative things. If you think like that, it's a clear sign you are not ready for the vows. Why? Why promise your Guru that you're going to follow him until the end of time, when you can't even follow him until you get refuge? Why promise your guru that you will give up your attachments? You will not steal, you will not kill, you will not lie, you will not commit sexual misconduct. Why are you going to promise that when you are not doing that? What's the difference? When you take a vow, when you take a commitment, you are promising the three jewels, all the Buddhas, all the Dharmas, and all the Sangha, that from henceforth, I will not commit these actions. And once you promise, please do not think, oh, the Buddha is very compassionate. He is. Please do not think you will be forgiven. You will. Please do not think that it's like a kind of a confessional thing. You can go and you can shout and scream and be ugly to someone, and then you come back and confess and everything's all right. But because you can confess, you can do all that. And then the next day you do the same thing, you come back and confess. The next day you do the same thing, you come back and confess. But in the end, your confession is not even real. Why is it not real? It's because you are not taking refuge in the vow, you are taking refuge in the confession. When you take refuge with your guru, not in your guru, when you take refuge with your guru, the guru is supposed to be a qualified person who has received the vows from his guru and has held on to the vows for a lifetime and practiced the vows. And the result of this person practicing the vows is that they have an exuberance to benefit others, that they have a passion to help others, that they have a great love and care for others, and they work for others' welfare continuously. That is a sign of a person who holds their vows and has the results. A sign of a person who has vows is not as and when they get upset, they run, they avoid, they hide, they don't listen, or they complain. That's not a sign of a person who has vows. So what happens is when we take vows, we are swearing in front of our gurus, with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and deities present, that from today on, in this case, according to the refuge commitments, I will not be doing these actions anymore, and I will lessen them dramatically. Hence, you get a new name. And the reason you get a new name is because it is to remind you that you're reborn. Reborn from what? Reborn from a mind that thinks anger is beneficial, hatred is beneficial, selfishness and miserliness and agendas are beneficial. You are born from that mind to a new mind. What's the new mind? To benefit others, to cultivate knowledge, to cultivate transformation, to cultivate complete 100% awareness of the people around you and their needs and their wants. And that's why we take refuge. And when we take refuge, and we swear that we will not be doing this anymore, every single day that we don't lie and steal, every single day that we don't kill and harm, the benefits of not killing, stealing, and harming will come back to us. Right now, if we don't kill, we don't create the merit of not killing, because you just don't kill. If you do not take a vow of not killing and you simply don't kill, you don't create any merit of not killing. For example, a young baby doesn't kill. It doesn't create any merits. It just doesn't know how to kill, or it's not capable of killing. It doesn't have its facilities to kill. So hence, not killing doesn't mean you create the merits of not killing. Not lying doesn't mean you create the merits of not lying. Example, the merits of not lying is this. When you don't lie, you gain the qualities of a Buddha's speech. The speech will be powerful, clear, moving, touching, and it will, for people whose karma is open, it will open their spiritual minds to help examine themselves. And whatever you say, people will take seriously and they will respect very much. That is a quality of Buddha's speech. And so hence, what happens is, if you take the vow of not lying, you create the karma of getting closer and closer and closer of not having speech that harms others. When you take the vow with your guru of the refuge vows, if your guru says to you, oh, work here, do this job, move here, give this up, take this on, you will immediately do it. Because any work that you do can never compare to the work that you do in Dharma as given to you by your teacher. No matter what work you want to do to cover or justify and run away from your Dharma work, it will never equal to your Dharma work. Why will it never equal to your Dharma work? Because Dharma work benefits others, your work benefits yourself, no matter how much you think your work is benefiting others. Why? Because by virtue of you contradicting your guru, contradicting your refuge teacher, you are not doing Dharma work. When you contradict your refuge guru, it's cutting off someone's head. Nothing else will operate. Nothing else. So hence, when you take the refuge vows, every single day that you hold your refuge vows, there are benefits that come back. If you don't kill, and after your refuge vows, if you go one more step and you even go vegetarian, pure vegetarian, without someone watching you, but you do it out of great compassion for others who suffer so much. For the murderers who kill the animals, they collect so much negative karma and you're supplying that to them. And for the animals being viciously murdered, to fulfill your taste palates. Okay? So if you also don't kill humans, you don't kill other beings, you don't order it to be killed, every single day you abide in that non-killing attitude. Your aggression becomes less. Your anger becomes less. And your meditations or your practice to release anger becomes easier. And on top of that, you will see that your body becomes stronger, healthier, and even when you get sick, there are remedies. There are remedies. For some, there are no remedies when their body karma catches up. Hence, one of the remedies for body karma is to do Dharma work. If we give up whatever we're doing and we do Dharma work, it is one of the best positive ways to prevent something negative to happen to our body before it's too late. That's one of the methods. Then on top of that, when you don't kill, your life will be long. But you see, simply having a long life doesn't mean anything either. If you're sitting at home watching TV all the time, or you're incapacitated, or you're in a wheelchair, or you're retarded, or you're mentally unstable, or you're feeble, or you're always sick, or you're senile, then what's the point to live to 100 years old? Also, that's not beneficial. So when you don't when you don't kill, you create the karma of having a long life. You create the karma of having a spectacular, charismatic body. Spectacular, charismatic body doesn't mean a body that doesn't mean it's a body that excites another person on a desirous level. That's not something you would be after. A spectacular, charismatic body is a body that when people see, they're in awe. They're amazed. They're inspired. And they go, wow. And they feel that there's something different. There's an aura about this person. There's a draw to this person. And that type of body and that kind of aura and charisma is used to draw people towards the Dharma. Because if you're teaching Dharma and you're professing and you're explaining all these wonderful qualities and you yourself look like a burnt tree stump, no one's going to believe that these vows have any power. Luckily, I don't look like a burnt tree stump, just a tub of lard. But in Tibetan Buddhism, I'm considered spectacular. You can ask the Tibetans. They always say, wow. No, I'm not kidding. You can ask, there's two Tibetans here. You can ask them. I have a picture of His Holiness, the previous Panchen Lama. He's quite 6'3", quite huge and fat with a triple chin. My assistant Molang, he's from Tibet, always sees a picture and says, oh, he looks so good. He always says, Zigoshugus means, oh, you look so good. So I think, so I said to him, and of course he says, oh, you look really good. And you know, they're not saying that to be nice. They really like that. If I go to Tibet, they're going to think I'm a living Buddha, a whole flower. A whole flower. A whole flower. That's it. They really like it like that. So, spectacular is not shape or size. Let me repeat. Spectacular is not shape or size. I like that. I tell that to myself every day. Spectacular is a body and a presence and a charisma that can draw others to abandon non-virtue and adopt virtue. That is what a spectacular body means. So therefore, even you may be beautiful, you may be slim, you have great hair, you know, you have great lips, you have great everything. It doesn't mean you can draw people to the Dharma. It doesn't mean you can inspire people to change or become better. It just means you inspire them to see their surgeon, that's all. It doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much at all. So I don't want to run around inspiring people to see a surgeon, because I've seen surgeons and it didn't help much. Yeah, you see the surgeon, you make yourself beautiful, and then if you don't maintain yourself, you go back to the way you was. Trust me, I know. In any case, my point is, what is? If we take vows, we have to be ready. So if you push your teacher, I want my vows. Why don't I get my vows? When do I get my vows? And the day you get your vows, oh, when is she? No. You want to take your vows from your guru? Then you be humble. And you don't complain. And you train your anger. And you train your impatience. And you should never say anything negative about your guru to anyone. Because when you say it, it doesn't hurt your guru, it hurts you. You know why? Because it reinforces your anger. It reinforces your patience. So behind your guru, you're thinking all types of thoughts about killing him, drowning him, slapping him, questioning him. You want to put a spotlight under him and tie him up and ask him questions and beat him up. But in front, you're offering your life, you're offering your body, no thank you to him. Because most of you, I wouldn't want your bodies. Like that, you offer them. But in the back, you're thinking all those negative things. What's the point? What's the point to be fake? Because taking refuge is not a ceremony. Taking refuge should be a life-changing step towards yourself. So therefore, I don't like to give refuge. I don't like to give vows, and I don't like to give initiations for higher tantric practices until I know a person is ready. How do I know they're ready? Because if I tell them to abandon this and do this, they do it. And they don't make up all kinds of excuses. They don't cry to other Dharma students. They don't try to justify. They don't try to cover. They don't try to make all types of wonderful reasons why they cannot do it. I don't believe it. Why don't I believe it? If you call me a Rinpoche, I should know more than you. Otherwise, don't call me a Rinpoche. If you don't believe I'm a Rinpoche, then you also insult the person, the abbot of the monastery, who made me a Rinpoche. And it goes on and on and on and on. So therefore, what happens is this, is that when we take vows, we have studied the Dharma. We have realized we need to change. We have understood that we have created so much unhappiness to other people. And we ourselves are unhappy, and we ourselves are trapped, and we ourselves don't have a solution. And we would like to have a solution. And hence, I would like to seek the refuge vows. Why? A, when we take the refuge vows, it creates a direct antidote to cutting off our bad habits. Direct antidote. Number two, why do you think when we come on airplanes, when we enter Malaysia, they make a very big sign that if you bring in drugs or do drugs, it's a death penalty? Because hopefully that warning from our wonderful government would avoid people from destroying their lives and destroying their family lives by taking drugs. That's all it is. So it's a deterrent. Vows are a deterrent. So when we know the quality of the Buddha, we know the quality of the Dharma, we know the quality of the Sangha, then we take vows, we will hold our vows very strongly. When we don't know the quality of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we don't know the quality, we take vows, we will break our vows. When we break our vows, when we break our commitments, we create the very causes that are opposite of taking the vows. Who will know that? Your teacher will know that. So your teacher will train you and push you and provoke you and press your buttons and give you all types of tests. Sometimes a teacher may say to you, hey, move from here to here. But they don't want you to move. They just told you to move. They want to see what you do and how you react. Why? To gauge how much practice you have done. If you've done 1,000,000 prostrations, 1,000,000 miksamas, 1,000,000 taras, 1,000,000 dharma offerings, and you've given millions of dollars away to other people, it doesn't mean your mind has changed. But the Guru will have his way to check if your mind has changed. Guru may say to you, hey, quit this job and do this job. Move from here to here. Move from this place, do this practice. And how you say yes, and how you do it, and how you do it from your heart will be a gauge of how much Dharma has gone into your mind. But if you complain and cry and make noise and say you cannot, make excuses, tell your Dharma brothers and sisters, all kinds of reasons why you cannot, to look good so you don't look bad, so you don't lose face, it means your spiritual practice is almost nothing. Almost nothing. That's how a teacher can gauge how fast or how far you are. So I've noticed that when I give refuge, I've realized that the meaning of refuge is not the same as in the monasteries or in a community that I come from. Because when we give refuge, or when you take refuge from a Lama, you become cooperative, humbled, you listen to the Lama, and you follow your Guru all the way. And you don't break your commitments. That's how it is in our society. But here it's very different because Dharma Foundation is very weak. Because Dharma Foundation is very weak, although you give them vows, you think that, oh, now I can really work with these people and transform them. The teacher gets full, and the students don't cooperate. Why is that? Because they haven't taken the time to study the value of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. They haven't studied the qualities or their relationship with their teacher, or why they have a teacher, or how their relationship should be. And they have not realized that creating negative karma brings themselves more unhappiness. So therefore, I'm not a very big person in giving rituals because of those reasons. Because I've been coming in and out of Malaysia for 20 years. Trust me, when I first came to Malaysia, I gave initiations non-stop. This is nothing. The crowd here is nothing. Because if you give initiations, the place will be packed. If you give Dharma teachings, it'll be 1/5 of the crowd of an initiation. So I don't like to give initiations, but I used to give initiations because I thought, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound a little funny, but don't take it in a funny way. I came here, I looked at everybody and said, hey, your face looks like mine one, except I got double eyelid. But anyways, your face looks like mine one. It's double eyelid without operation, by the way. All right, so Tibetans have double eyelids. That's why we know we're not Chinese. When I came here, I looked at everybody and I said, you guys look like me. I look like you, and you're so faithful, and you offer angpaos to the lamas, and you prostrate, and you're so respectful. I said, it's just like my society, my community, where the Dharma is very strong. They must have the foundations. They must understand. They must know a lot. Actually, I used to think that when I first came. And when I first came, I was a little nervous. I was nervous because the person that sent me here was Khensu Champa Yeshe Rinpoche and Laki Rinpoche. And I used to fight with these old gurus and tell them, no, I don't want to go because I didn't study enough. I don't know enough. I'm not a geshe. I'm not a scholar. I'm not anything. I don't want to go to Malaysia and teach because these people know more Dharma than me. And so when I came, I was quite nervous to give teachings. I was nervous to give teachings because I thought I don't know much. So I gave initiations. I thought not many people here will have initiations. I gave initiations. And I gave Manjushri initiations, I gave Avalokiteshvara initiations, I gave Vajrapani initiations. I gave initiations. In the halls we packed 500-600 people always. People used to ask me, hey, nobody knows who you are and you're so young. How come your initiation halls are always packed? They used to ask me, I don't know. So I used to give initiations all the time, all over the place. And then after initiations, I would give explanation of the practice. After initiation, you give a sadhana. A sadhana is a transformation meditation. It's a meditation to transform yourself into that deity. So I give explanations of that meditation. And you know what? When I gave explanations, I realized that people didn't have any understanding of the Dharma. Nothing at all. Even their understanding of karma or their faith in karma is not firm. And some people after initiation would go back to doing whatever they're doing exactly the same. And even after 2-3 months, they come back to me and say, oh, Rinpoche, I can't do the mantras anymore. I can't do the meditations. I don't have time. To me, it's quite shocking. It's very, very shocking. Because I left the United States years ago for the Dharma. You know, I gave up everything in the United States. My opportunities, everything. I didn't have materially anything, but I was very young, and I had the whole world in front of me. In America, if you work hard, you talk well, and you push yourself, you can meet something quite easy. So I gave up everything in America to join the monasteries in India. So when people here tell me they can't give up their jobs, I don't believe them, because I gave up everything. When people say they cannot move, I also don't believe them, because it's how much you want it and how much you believe. How much you realize your mortality. For me, the best meditation in my life has been mortality, is having a realization that I will die, not knowing when I'm going to die, and the fear of what's going to happen to me while I'm dying and after I die, has pushed me to do more and more Dharma. So the meditation on my mortality helped quite a lot. So therefore, when we take vows, we are affirming that we wish to change and we wish to transform. When we take these vows, we are capable and we are qualified to take on higher vows. For example, the Bodhisattva vows and the Tantric vows. People like to go for Tantric initiation. They like to go for Kalachakra or Yamataka, Guhya Samaja, or Kiruka. They love to go for Tantric initiations. But very few people actually practice the Tantra afterwards. I've heard of people going for Vajrayogini. They know nothing about it. They know nothing about the practice. They don't know nothing about the commitments. They don't even know what they're supposed to recite or even the mantra. And you know, sometimes when they come to me, I've had people come to me and say, oh, Rinpoche, I've taken a Tantric initiation at so-and-so center. Can I join the talk here every 2 weeks? And I said, oh, but how did you take the initiation? What was the procedure? What happened? And when they told me, they actually didn't follow the procedure. They missed out 1 day or 2 days of the initiation. They actually didn't receive the initiation. And when I tell them that, instead of saying, thank you, Rinpoche, oh, I'm so glad I know that, they get upset. They're not happy. They feel I've criticized them. They feel I've said something to them that they don't like. I say, oh my God. But in the monasteries or in our community, when you explain that, when a teacher explains that, we actually fold our hands and say, oh, I didn't know that. Thank you so much. They write it down and they remember for the future. But here, when you teach the Dharma, it is a skill in diplomacy. Let me repeat. Here, when you teach the Dharma, it is a skill in diplomacy, not to disturb their world, their fantasies, their anger, their ego, and the way they think, and the way they want things, and the way they perceive you should be. In Tibet, when the gurus walk around, they walk around with their head held high, with their robes wrapped up well, and their hands swinging when they walk down. Here, the gurus have to walk around with a cover, and a hat, and a trench coat, and they must walk around very carefully. Because if you offend them, they run to another center. Oh, I don't like this Rinpoche. He didn't say what I like. If you do something they don't like, okay, I'm not going to sponsor you anymore, bye. Or they talk bad about you. So here, gurus are not respected. They are not treasured. They are not revered. Why? Here, gurus must be the best diplomats. After you've trained yourself here in Malaysia as a guru, you can work for United Nations. You can stop wars. Why? Because here, you have to be sensitive to their culture. Of course you do. You have to respect their culture. No joke about that. You have to. Everybody's culture is to be respected. But that's not the issue. You have to respect their culture. You have to respect their upbringing. You have to respect their livelihood. You have to respect their greed for money. You have to respect their lust for bodies. You have to respect their greed for time and pleasures and fun. And you have to teach in a Dharma in such a way that your avenues and portal to help them is not that big, it's this narrow. Why? Because if you say this one get offended. If you say that one don't like. If you say like this one fall asleep. If you say this one criticize. So, gurus in Malaysia, gurus in countries that not countries, in places where Dharma is not strong, they have to be the best diplomats to survive. If a guru has a center and has patrons and has statues and people in a throne, it means he's a very good diplomat. Very good. It doesn't mean he's a good teacher. It doesn't mean he has knowledge. It doesn't mean he's kind. It just means he's a very, very good diplomat. And he survived for years. You think about it. Because the minute the guru says this, I'm leaving. If around here the guru dare not order the students to do this or do that or change this or transform that. Why? Because the guru will get it. Yeah, the guru will be threatened. I've been threatened before. I have been threatened before. I've been in Dharma centers where I was made to make money. I was made to teach, and when the donations come, everybody's like, oh, Namo Amitofu, Namo Tseramji, Namo Buddhaya, all that stuff. When the crowd leaves, it's like, shut up, Ramji, give me the donations. Yeah. When the lights are off and the crowd is gone and the administrators are around, they come, they grab the donations, they sit in front of me, they count. This was years ago when I was a young, innocent, skinny chicken. Now I'm an old, fat duck, so no one can do anything. So last time when I was a skinny, innocent, young, pure chicken, I was involved with 3 Dharma centers before. I'm not going to name any names and point any directions or anything. Anyways, I was involved in 3 different Dharma centers that I was basically a cash cow. They would send me 3-page faxes of what they require me to teach, how to teach, when in the schedule, and I must do it, or they will not sponsor me. That's what they told me. Or they will not sponsor me. Inside, I was thinking, but I couldn't because I was here for the monastery, so I had to listen. I was sent by the monastery, I had to listen. If I mess up here, I go back, my gurus look at me like, why didn't you transform yourself and help them? I'm like, what can you say? Because that's what my gurus would tell me. You must transform yourself. You should do what they want. You should do what they hope in you. And then you don't know what they hope in me. Because in our society, we don't do that to our gurus. We don't abuse them, and we don't hurt them, we don't say negative things. We don't do that with our gurus. So what happens is, in Dharma centers in the past, I was involved with 3. It's true. I mean, there was other things, but basically it was that I was made to be a cash cow. And they used to say to me, oh, Rinpoche, you speak so well. And I'd be like, really? They go, you're so knowledgeable, yet you're so young. I said, oh, thank you. And they go, wow. And you're so, you really, and we don't need a translator. We can listen to you directly. I'm like, wow. You should teach and turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of all sentient beings. And I'd be like, wow. But after the sentient beings are gone, the only thing they turned was their safe to open the money I made for them. That's it. That was the only wheel that turned. I'm not kidding. I said to them, I wasn't diplomatic that time. I said to them, see you later. I'm not going to be involved in this scam. I'm not going to be involved in you telling me what to do and how to do it. I'm the monk. You're the lay person. I'm from the monastery, and I gave it up 20 years of my life to do the Dharma. You didn't. So you don't tell me what to do. I know what I should teach and what I should do. Well, they didn't like it. And they would threaten me. We're going to wallop you. Oh, yes, they called me up and said, we're going to wallop you if you don't do what we say. They used that word, wallop. You're going to ask Ruby, she was around. You can ask Xia, he was with me when they actually said they're going to wallop me if I don't do what they say. They're going to put me in all the newspapers and make sure I can never come to this region again. I said, all because I didn't give a Dharma talk on the time you stipulated? They said, no, because you're not compassionate. I said, oh, okay. That's what they said, because you're not compassionate. And we're not going to sponsor you. And we're not going to give you any money. And I was thinking, isn't that much anyways? That's the American in me. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, it ain't that much anyway. Keep your $5,000.